What's going on, guys? It's your boy Boxing Facts over Fiction. I need you guys to do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon for more videos like this. The World Boxing Super Series continues. Regis Prograis versus Kiryl Relikh. Tete Donaire versus Tete. I'm looking forward to both of these fights. I'm going to go ahead and break down these fights, tell you who wins these fights. I'm also going to go ahead and let you know why I believe these guys are going to win. The World Boxing Super Series is a great tournament, man. I think every single weight class need to be in it. And the top two weight classes I want to see in it is the heavyweight and the welterweight. But in this World Boxing Super Series, we're focused on the lightweight and we're focused on the bantamweight. Regis Prograis is an undefeated fighter. He will be fighting Kiryl Relikh. Tete Donaire will be fighting Tete in a bantamweight fight. Regis Prograis is an undefeated fighter. He has 23 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws, 19 KOs. His KO percentage is 83%. He's 5'8". He's 30 years old. He's from New Orleans, Louisiana, but he lives in Texas. He's fighting Kiryl Relikh, a guy who is 23, has 23 wins and 2 losses. Then the World Boxing Super Series quarterfinal, Regis Prograis defeated Terry Flanagan, who was just coming off a loss to Maurice Hooker. He lost WBO. He lost the fight for the WBO World Super Lightweight title. That was his first loss, but he just recently lost to Regis Prograis, who was undefeated at 22-0. Regis Prograis, I knew Regis Prograis was going to win the fight, but I thought he was going to stop Terry Flanagan. But it turns out he didn't stop Terry Flanagan. He went 12 rounds with Terry Flanagan. Regis Prograis is a good fighter, but I don't believe he's the best fighter at lightweight. In my opinion, the best fighter at lightweight, super lightweight that is Josh Taylor. Regis Prograis just came on the scene out of nowhere, in my opinion. He just burst out of nowhere, and now he's ranked #1 in the world, #1 in the U.S. At the super lightweight. Terence Crawford was at 140. I didn't hear anything from Regis Prograis. Crawford moves up to 147. Regis Prograis starts calling Terence Crawford out. But I'm a huge fan of this World Boxing Super Series. Like I said, I really want to see this World Boxing Super Series in every weight class. I think it will help these fighters. Well, it will help the fans more, you know. But it'll give these fighters a better opportunity to fight for the title immediately. It'll help the fans more because then we have to see the best versus the best. Regis Prograis is talking about pulling out. There was rumors about Regis Prograis pulling out the World Boxing Super Series. I hope he doesn't pull out because I already know who he's gonna fight in the finals. Because I know for a fact he's gonna beat Kiryl Relikh. But I know who he's gonna fight in the finals, which is Josh Taylor, and somebody old has got to go. And I see Josh Taylor outboxing and beating up on Regis Prograis as of right now. In my opinion, Regis Prograis' step-up fight was against Joel Diaz Jr. For the NABF Super Lightweight title. They both was undefeated, and Regis Prograis knocked out Joel Diaz Jr. Then he stepped up in competition to fight the guy, Terence Crawford, unify all the belts with Julius Indongo. I knew it was a bad fight for Julius Indongo based on the fact that he took the fight on a short 2. But I'm not going to take credit from Regis Prograis. He knocked out Julius Indongo in impressive fashion. Terence Crawford also knocked out Julius Indongo in impressive fashion. But it was a great fight from Regis Prograis. He went in there and did what he had to do. But he showed that he didn't have too much defense in that fight. I guess because he felt like he was the stronger guy. He just overpowered Julius Indongo. After the Julius Indongo fight, that's when Regis Prograis started to get some notice. Everybody was talking about Regis Prograis. Terrence Crawford dug Regis Prograis. Regis Prograis is the best at lightweight. Crawford should have stayed at lightweight to fight Regis Prograis one more time before he moved up. I mean, they was just hyping this guy up. I'm a fan of Regis Prograis. I'm not going to say I'm not a fan of the guy. Like I said, I'm a fan of Regis Prograis. I think he's a tough competitor. I just believe the guy lacks defense. He has a lot of flaws in his arsenal. I feel like at 30 years old, he should have already been a world. He should have already been a world champion. If he's as good as a lot of people say he is, he should have been a world champion. You know, but he's about to win his first world title. He's about to win his first world title. He has the WBC Diamond Super Lightweight title, but it's not the official WBC belt. The official WBC belt is with Jose Ramirez, who he should have been fighting. The official WBC belt is with Jose Ramirez, who Regis Prograis was in line to fight after he knocked out Julius Ndongo, but for some reason that fight never marinated. It never happened. I guess Bob Arum didn't want that fight right away, but he was supposed to be the mandatory for that belt, that WBC belt, but he never fought Jose Ramirez, and I don't know why Jose Ramirez isn't in this tournament. I have no idea why Jose Ramirez isn't in this World Boxing Super Series tournament. It would have been a very interesting tournament, but Jose Ramirez chose not to join the World Boxing Super Series tournament. He's the WBC champ, so the winner of this tournament will not have all the belts at 140, but majority of the belt at super lightweight. But this is the same division Terrence Crawford unified all the belts. Terrence Crawford beat Julius Ndongo. Julius Ndongo is a guy that beat Troyanowski. Troyanowski is a guy that just fought Relikh, and Relikh beat Troyanowski, and then Relikh beat Troyanowski, and then Relikh is about to fight. Relikh is about to fight Regis Prograis. But Regis Prograis, like I said, let me get back to this Terrence Crawford situation. I like to talk about all these situations, to bring these situations to light. I think if you're a true boxing fan, we need to remember these situations. So when we talk about these fighters, we can hold them accountable for what they say and what they do inside that ring. And the situation I'm talking about is Regis Prograis continually calling out Terrence Crawford, saying the guy ducked him. I mean, who the hell was Regis Prograis when Crawford was beating every champion at 140? Where the hell was Regis Prograis at? They're almost the same age. Regis Prograis was nowhere to be found. As soon as Terrence Crawford moved up to welterweight, Regis Prograis starts calling him up. Then he starts to fight guys Terrence Crawford has already knocked out. And like I always say, once a guy is knocked out, he's never the same. So a majority of guys, when they get knocked out the first time, they're never the same. And that's the case with Julius Ndongo. Julius Ndongo got stopped by Terrence Bud Crawford. Terrence Bud Crawford took 2 belts from him. He was never the same. So he fought Regis Prograis. Regis Prograis stopped. Now I'm going to talk about Regis Prograis' opponent, Kiryl Relikh. Kiryl Relikh is a guy with 23 wins, 19 KOs, and 2 losses. He's a guy from Belarus. He's 29 years old. He's the younger of the two. Regis Prograis is in a tough fight, even though I feel Regis Prograis is going to win the fight. Like I said, I feel Regis Prograis is going to win the fight, but I think it's going to be a tough fight. If Regis Prograis is able to knock this guy out, it'll be very impressive to me. In the semifinal, the guy holds the WBA World Super Lightweight title. Regis Prograis will win his first world title once he knocks this guy out. If he can knock this guy out. This guy Relikh has been in a lot of good fights, man. A lot of good fights. And one of the most notable fights he's been in was the fights against Regis Bartholomew. Those were some really good fights. Like I said, he only has 2 losses. The guy only has 2 losses. He's a really good fighter. He might be underrated. But we're gonna go ahead and talk about the guys he's fought. He's fought Ricky Burns, but he lost to Ricky Burns. Then he stepped up in competition again and fought the undefeated Regis Bartholomew, when Regis Bartholomew was 26-0. It was a controversial fight. They said Regis Bartholomew won the fight by unanimous decision. And then after that, they ran it back again, and he defeated Regis Bartholomew for the vacant WBA World Super Lightweight title. He won by unanimous decision. So that was probably the biggest win of his career. And then he fought Edward Troyanowski. He fought Edward Troyanowski in the quarterfinal of the World Boxing Super Series. And he won another unanimous decision against Troyanowski. Troyanowski is a guy who had only 1 loss, and his only loss was to Julius Ndongo. He got knocked out by Julius Ndongo in like the first round. A surprise to everyone. Troyanowski is a guy everybody thought was ducked for years. People used to say Terence Crawford was ducking Troyanowski, but Troyanowski is a guy who's 38 years old. If he was gonna fight Terence Crawford, Crawford would have stopped that guy as well. But Julius Ndongo knocked him out. He came back and got 2 KOs against guys we don't even know like that. And then he joined the World Boxing Super Series, and he lost to Kiryl Relikh. So Kiryl Relikh is no slouch, man. So this is gonna be a very difficult fight. I might be wrong. It could be a one-sided fight for Regis Prograis, or it could be a difficult fight. I mean, I see this guy putting up a good fight against Regis Prograis. He's no slouch. If he can go in there and beat the likes of Regis Bartholomew, who I thought was a really good fighter, who also wanted to fight the likes of Terence Crawford, but that fight never happened. I think Terence Crawford was levels above Bartholomew, but Bartholomew was showing that he was a good fighter, but he never really proved it. I mean, he never really proved it. He was an undefeated fighter. He never really proved it. He had that split decision win against Mickey Bay. I thought it could have been a unanimous decision. He also beat a tough guy like Denis Shafikov, and Denis Shafikov beat up on, in a controversial fight, Denis Shafikov beat up on Richard Coleman. You see how crazy boxing is? And Denis Shafikov lost to the guy that that beat up the guy that he beat up, which was Robert Easter Jr. But anyway, I'm looking forward to this fight. Well, I'm looking forward to these fights. The semifinal of the World Boxing Super Series. Prograis versus Relikh. Donaire versus Tete. I think Donaire is just at the age where he's too old. And he may have looked good in his last fight. But Donaire may have looked good in his last fight against Ryan Burnett. Ryan Burnett was being talked about. He was 19-0. I mean, but he lost to Nonito Donaire. And Nonito Donaire, let's talk a little bit about Nonito Donaire, man. Nonito Donaire was being built as a generational fighter. Even though he took a loss in the second fight, Nonito Donaire took a loss to Rosendo Sanchez in his second pro fight. Man. In his second pro fight. And then after that, he just went on a winning streak. And he was being built as a generational fighter by HBO. HBO really got behind Nonito Donaire. He was built as a knockout artist going into the fight against Relikh. Like I said, Nonito Donaire was talked about. He was one of those talked about fighters, man. He's from the Philippines, like Manny Pacquiao. So they was building this guy like he's the next Manny Pacquiao, until he ran into a guy we all are familiar with in Guillermo El Cachao Rigondeaux, and they fought for the WBA and the WBO. Guillermo Rigondeaux, he was 11-0 at the time. He completely dominated Nonito Donaire. Completely dominated Nonito Donaire with only 11 fights. He only had 11 fights, and he dominated Nonito Donaire, won a unanimous decision. He dropped Nonito Donaire in that fight as well. I mean, it was a very, very good fight. Nonito Donaire then went on to try to bounce back. He won a TKO victory against Vic Darchinyan. Then he went and won another victory. But then he took a devastating KO loss. A devastating KO loss to Nicholas Walters, who was 24-0 for the WBA Super World Featherweight title. After that loss, Nonito Donaire, he bounced back again. He went on a winning streak. And then he took another loss, a unanimous decision loss to another undefeated fighter, Jesse Magdaleno. So Nonito Donaire started losing to these undefeated fighters. He took a loss to Jesse Magdaleno. Then after that, he bounced back and won against Ruben Garcia Hernandez. Then he went on to fight Carl Frampton, who had only one loss. Carl Frampton, who only had one loss, and his only loss was a majority decision to Leo Santa Cruz. At the time, he only had the one loss to Leo Santa Cruz. After that, he joined the World Boxing Super Series, and he just defeated Ryan Burnett. Zolani Tete took his first loss to Maruti Methylene, a guy who Nonito Donaire knocked out in I believe earlier in his career he knocked out. But so this is how crazy boxing is. Maruti Methylene knocked out Zolani Tete, and Nonito Donaire knocked out Maruti Methylene. Styles make fights, guys. And I believe Zolani Tete has improved, even though he has 3 losses. He has 3 losses, one by KO, and now KO was to a guy Nonito Donaire knocked out. But I honestly believe Zolani Tete has improved. And at 30 years old, I think he'll be a little bit too much for Nonito Donaire. I see Zolani Tete defeating Nonito Donaire in the World Boxing Super Series. Like I said, I see Zolani Tete defeating Nonito Donaire for the WBA and the WBO. I think age will play a factor here. And I just see Zolani Tete, for some reason, I see him edging out Nonito Donaire. I don't know if it's going to be by knockout, but I see him beating Nonito Donaire for the WBO and WBA. But this World Boxing Super Series, like I said, I could be wrong. Nonito Donaire could defeat Zolani Tete. I'm picking Zolani Tete to win, and I'm picking Regis Prograis to beat Relikh. But I could be wrong. That's just my opinion. But this World Boxing Super Series, I'm a huge fan of it, and I'm following it. I hope you guys are following it. But do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon for more videos like this.